Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
And my name is Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad on the Chad Benson Show. Thanks for being along on this edition of the program. You can jump in and tell everybody what you think at 844-DIG-CHAD, 844-DIG-CHAD. Find out more at thechadshow.com. And on the Twitter feed, it's at Chad Benson Show. You can take a part of, just many different ways that you can jump in. Let me start, obviously, with what happened last night with the big debate. I have a couple questions for you. I really would like to know, did you watch it? And if you did you make it through the whole thing? I mean, I'm guessing no. Very few people made it through the whole thing who don't do this for a living. I don't even feel, bad for you if you didn't watch this at all. In fact, I feel good for you if you didn't watch this at all. Eventually, you're going to want to, but I understand you saying, look, man, there's just way too many people. I can't watch these people argue for 3 hours. I don't like what they're saying, and it's driving me crazy. I've got better things to do on a Thursday evening. When we get it down to Donald Trump versus whoever the Democrat is, then I'll watch. Until then, I've got better things to do. I totally understand. I'm just wondering, if you did make that decision, what led you to actually watch it, and could you make it through the whole thing? I'd love to know. You see the big thing out today now. Drudge is really touting it. Amy Klobuchar breaks out. Amy Klobuchar. And I know half of you right now are saying, who's Amy Klobuchar? I understand, because you don't do this for a living. You have a real life. And Amy Klobuchar used to be someone that a lot of people talked about as one day being president. And then she started to run, and everybody, she doesn't have a chance. There's just too many people. The party's moved too far to the left. She's not doing well in any of the polls. But last night, when she positioned herself as the middle ground person, she came out against some of the craziness that the Democrats are doing. She actually talked about, hey, we can't kick all these people off their private health insurance because they actually like it. Hey, this stuff costs way too much and we can't afford it. She was like the voice of reason in a room of people trying to out-left each other and give you stuff to make you vote for them that they can't afford. They don't even know how much it costs, and it's going to destroy the country. But is it too little too late? See, I don't think Amy Klobuchar has a chance. I think it is too late for the Democrats to put the far left genie back in the bottle. I mean, Joe Biden is in trouble for being part of the Obama administration, for goodness sakes. And that wasn't exactly a moderate administration. And he's in trouble from the left for not being left enough because it was part of Obama. He had to lie about it. Oh, you guys were the deporter-in-chief back when Obama was. You guys deported an awful lot of illegal aliens. He goes, well, I never put people in cages, and we never separated families. That's just a flat-out lie. Because the very first photos that were put up on social media about people in cages, which, by the way, they're not in cages. It's a fence, an actual fence around where they could stay. A fence. That's not a cage. But anyway, the original pictures of those were under the Obama administration. Remember when that happened on social media and a lot of reporters got in trouble for retweeting it? And then it turned out, oh, wait, these photos that we're using to make it look like the Trump administration's the worst ever for putting children in cages, these pictures are actually from the Obama administration. So Biden couldn't even tell the truth about that. But remember, Trump's the one who lies. Look, all politicians lie. Why do you think we had the old joke? Hey, how do you know how when a politician's lying? When his lips move. Yes, that's because they all lie. Okay? So the question that you start to ask yourself is, are they lying to me about the right things? And telling me at least some of the truth about the right things. Or if we actually look at their policies, are the policies that they're actually implementing the ones that I believe can help this country and my family, right? That's what we want to know. Because they're all lying. And they're certainly lying about how much this stuff's going to cost. They're certainly lying about how much they're actually going to be able to get done. I don't care who's elected. Do you really think you're going to get free health care paid by the super wealthy? That Elizabeth Warren can wave this magic wand, put a wealth tax on the wealthy, And for the rest of this nation's existence, you won't have to pay for your health care. That's what she's talking about with the elderly, the poor elderly. That's what she's talking about increasing Social Security payments by $200 a month. The thing's already broken. It's bankrupt. We're already paying out more than we're taking in, and she's going to give away more and think that the solution is just tax the wealthy. I mean, you could take every penny the wealthy in this country have, and you couldn't do the stuff they're talking about. But here's the thing I really wanted to start with. The Democrats continually try to tell you, the Democrats, the media, celebrities on social media, but I repeat myself, they're all pretty much the same. They're telling you Trump is full of hate, and Trump divides you, and Trump tries to scare you, and that's how he got people's votes. What are the Democrats doing? They're coming out trying to scare you. Trump's going to destroy this country. If we have 4 more years of Trump, it's over, man. I mean, it's just crazy. Trump's trying to put children in cages. Trump would love to just kill black people. Trump would, Greg, they didn't say kill. Okay, some have said, would love to go back to the way it used to be. What, slave days? I mean, these people are nuts. Trump's a white supremacist. Trump's a racist. Based on lies they tell about him. And I'll get to those lies in a second because we had some of those lies told at the debate last night. They're the ones who are trying to win with hate for Trump and hate for half of America. Because they're telling you if you voted for Trump, you're a racist. They said that last night. 66 million people in America. You're all racist. That's going to bring us together? That's the party of unity and love and tolerance? Are you kidding? So let me start with Pete Buttigieg. He was asked by Jorge Ramos about Trump's immigration policies, and Jorge sets it up with a bunch of lies. So first we're going to start with Jorge's question so we can get into some of those lies, and then we'll see how Buttigieg answered the lies. Here's Jorge Ramos last night at the debate.
President Trump has called Mexican immigrants rapists and killers, tried to ban Muslims from entering the country, and separated children from their parents. His supporters have chanted, "Build the wall and send her back." Do you think that people who support President Trump and his immigration policies are racist?
Okay, so let's just walk through that. There's so much there that's either untrue or totally twisted. President Trump has called Mexican immigrants rapists and killers. This is what Trump actually said when he came down the escalator, when he was talking about illegal aliens coming in from Mexico. Illegal aliens, not legal immigrants. He said they're not, when Mexico sends people over, because he was saying Mexico's sending illegal aliens, they're not sending their best. He's talking to a crowd where there are Latinos in the crowd. And he points to some of them. He goes, they're not sending you. They're not sending you. And then he said some of them are rapists and killers. He never said all Mexican immigrants are rapists and killers. But that's what Jorge Ramos has twisted this into be. And that's what the mainstream media has twisted it into being. And they keep saying it over and over. And if you say the lie long enough and loud enough, you hope that people will believe it as a truth. And about half the country does. If you ask the average Democrat, did President Trump call Mexican immigrants rapists and killers? They go, yes. When the true answer is he called some illegal aliens from Mexico rapists and killers. And by the way, that's true. Some illegal aliens who have come in from Mexico have turned out to be murderers and rapists. That is the truth. But if you say the truth, you're called all kinds of names. Trump never said all immigrants from Mexico are rapists and murderers. But that's what Jorge Ramos wants you to believe because it helps his cause. And his cause is get Trump out. His cause is no borders at all. That's what Jorge Ramos wants. So then Jorge goes on. He tried to ban Muslims from entering the country. That's not true. No, President Trump tried to ban people coming in from certain countries that are majority Muslim. Not all Muslim countries. And by the way, if you remember, the countries that he put on the list were put on that list by President Obama and his administration of saying we could not do our due diligence and background checks to make sure that people coming from those countries were not related to terrorism. That's different than saying, I'm banning all Muslims. Never once did he try to do that. Separate children from their parents? Yep. Just like happens every day in America. If you know somebody that gets arrested for committing a crime and has children, guess what we do to them? We separate them from their children. Whether it's you wrote a bad check, whether it's you haven't paid your taxes, whether it's you stole something from the grocery store, you get arrested, whether it's at your third DUI, you get arrested and you go to prison, guess what happens? You're separated from your children. But it's only a problem if you separate your children from an illegal alien because you got arrested for breaking the law in our country. Then he goes into his supporters have chanted, build the wall and send them back. Yes, build the wall to protect our border from people who aren't listening to it as the law. Why is that horrible? You realize under George W. Bush, Democrats and Republicans together passed a law to build a fence. We started building it. We built like 100 and some miles and gave up because you calmed down. See, when you were all upset about it, then the Democrats and the Republicans said, yes, let's build the fence. And then once you calmed down a little bit, they kind of gave up on it. So then it wasn't racist. Now it is. Send them back. They're talking about illegal aliens. We're not supposed to send illegal aliens back? That makes you racist? That's Jorge's question. I mean, look at how twisted that was from supposedly a journalist. He's not supposed to be there at this debate as a moderator, as a highly opinion, far left-wing wacko. He's supposed to be asking unbiased questions. So what did Buttigieg say about it? Oh, wait till you hear the answer. We're going to get to that in just a second. Just getting warmed up. 844-DIG-CHAD. 844-DIG-CHAD. My name's Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad on The Chad Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
And my name is Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad. You can jump in at 844-DIG-CHAD. Hey, if you want to know more about me, my website is GregoryBKnapp.com. Gregory B as in boy, Knapp as in Peter.com. It's not about politics. It's about how to find your purpose, live your passion. That's what my podcast is about as well. You can find that wherever podcasts are. But you can also just find it on my webpage. And I have a free gift there. It'll pop up for you when you go. It's a free ebook for you, 5 steps to find your purpose. So we're talking about supposedly the loving, tolerant, unifying Democratic Party coming out basically calling you a racist. Simply because you disagree with them and vote for Trump. So we start with Jorge Ramos there, and he's asking the question about illegal immigration, and he says, President Trump has called Mexican immigrants rapists and killers. And we told you that's misleading. He had said some about the illegal aliens that Mexico is sending, and that, in fact, is true. Tried to ban Muslims from entering the country. Actually tried to ban people coming from countries that are majority Muslim that were put on a list by the Obama administration because they couldn't make sure they weren't terrorists, and on and on and on. So finally he says, do you think that people who support President Trump and his immigration policies are racist? And here's what Democratic presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg responded with.
Anyone who supports this is supporting racism. Este es racismo y es sencillo.
So he has to, throw in a little Espanol there for you. But anyone who supports this, meaning the Trump immigration platform, is supporting racism. So tens of millions of Americans who voted for President Trump because he said build the wall, because we cannot continue to just allow millions of illegal immigrants to come into our country, that makes you a racist. Doesn't matter that maybe you're like me. And my whole philosophy is, hey, we take almost 2 million legal immigrants every year. I'm fine with that if we vet them, very well and make sure that the right people are coming in and not people who want to do us ill. I'm fine with that. I am a first-generation American. I agree. Legal immigration can be a very good thing for this country. We can continue to look at the numbers. Are we taking in too many? Are we not taking in enough? But then the illegal immigration, we're supposed to just say that's okay too. And if we say we actually want to enforce the laws that, by the way, both parties put on the books, that makes you a racist? But remember, they're the party of tolerance. They're the party of love. They're the party of unity. They're dividing us. They're calling you a racist. And it's not just Pete Buttigieg. How about Beto O'Rourke? Beto O'Rourke came out, and not only is he saying you're a racist, he's basically saying America's racist. Listen to Beto O'Rourke here. Third cut down here, Phil.
Racism in America is endemic. It is foundational. We can mark the creation of this country not at the 4th of July, 1776, but August 20th, 1619, when the first kidnapped African was brought to this country against his will and in bondage and as a slave, built the greatness and the success and the wealth that neither he nor his descendants would ever be able to fully participate in and enjoy.
Wow. I mean, really let that soak in for just a minute on what Pete Buttigieg is saying. Sorry, that's Beto O'Rourke. On what Beto O'Rourke is saying here. Racism is endemic to America, foundational to America, and, hasn't gone away. I mean, it sounds like, you listen to Beto O'Rourke, we're still living in slave times. Well, Greg, are you saying there's no racism in America? No, of course, there's racism everywhere. There's not a single country that doesn't have racism. But the racism doesn't only go one way, and the racism isn't what it used to be, and it certainly is not the founding of our nation. We'll get more of this in just a second. My name's Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad on The Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
My name is Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad on The Chad Benson Show. 844-DIG-CHAD and you're on board. TheChadShow.com online. And don't forget Twitter at Chad Benson Show. So we're talking about how divisive the Democratic Party has become and how much they're trying to divide us over race. Everything is race. In fact, I'm going to play an ad here in just a second that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says is racist. It's really at the point, if all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. Everything is racism to these people. And so Beto O'Rourke, because, hey, this is the way you get attention. This is the way you prove your woke credibility. This is the way you get people to say, oh, yes, oh, he is so moral. He is so good. I want to be like him. That's who we need to lead us. To assuage whatever kind of guilt you have for whatever reason, to make you feel liberal enough. You're making a lot of money and you feel bad about your white privilege, so let's vote for Beto O'Rourke, who says that America was founded upon racism. So let's listen one more time. Here's what Beto O'Rourke said last night about America, race, Trump. Here we go.
Racism in America is endemic. It is foundational. We can mark the creation of this country not at the 4th of July, 1776, but August 20th, 1619, when the first kidnapped African was brought to this country against his will and in bondage and as a slave, built the greatness and the success and the wealth that neither he nor his descendants would ever be able to fully participate in and enjoy.
Wow. I mean, it's stunning that not that we have some racial problems in this country like every country does, but that race is endemic, that race is foundational. Racism is endemic in America. Racism is fundamental in this country, that our country wasn't created with the Declaration of Independence. No, the country was created 1619, when the first black slave was brought here. That's what the New York Times is trying to convince everybody, remember? Well, Beto O'Rourke is right on board. Yeah, because really, forget everything America has stood for. Forget the fact that many of the founders didn't want slavery at all and worked very hard to get rid of it, and we fought a huge war over it. Forget all of the reparations that have already been done through things like welfare and HUD housing and affirmative action and all the other programs we have to try to help the poor. Those aren't just aimed at black people. You're right, but disproportionately they are. Forget all the advances we've made from slavery to Jim Crow to today. No, 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 no. The country is racist. And, only slaves built this country. Nobody else. And guess what? The descendants of those slaves have enjoyed the benefits of this country and are continuing every generation to enjoy them more and more, especially if we'd quit trying to help them so much with the government. Because our government is holding so many back. Because our government set up programs that broke up the family. Do you realize black families with an intact marriage of a mother and a father, poverty rate is under 10%? Take away one of the parents, and it shoots up way into the double digits. But no. It's all you racist people out there. All you racist people that voted for Trump. Of course, many millions of you also voted for Obama. But, it's easy to become racist in a second. You just don't realize how racist you are. And then he talked about he's going to sign it. He's going to sign into law a reparations bill if he becomes president. Uh-huh. Right. How much? For who? And how do you have to prove that your relatives were slaves? And how long have you had to been in this country? And I think it's ridiculous to even talk about it, but he doesn't have anything. He's just trying to get attention. And dividing the country to do it, no problem. Stirring up racial animosities, no problem. And he claims that's what Trump's doing. He went on to say not long ago, his opening statement yesterday, a racism and violence that had long been a part of America was welcomed out into the open and directed to my hometown of El Paso, Texas. Wow. So he's claiming it's Trump's fault and that Trump is welcoming the idea of killing people because they're a different skin color than you. No evidence of that whatsoever. Just his own imagination. So I guess Bernie Sanders, when his supporter shot up the Republican baseball practice, that was Bernie Sanders welcoming that out into the open, right? No, that's different. Or how about this now? With Beto O'Rourke coming out here day after day calling President Trump a racist, a white supremacist, lying and saying things like he said that there were fine people in the KKK and in the neo-Nazi movement, which he specifically said the opposite. That they're lying about that, too, and they continue to do that. If someone shoots President Trump, heaven forbid, was it Beto's rhetoric that welcomed that out into the open and directed it to the White House? Well, no, that'd be totally different. You could just imagine. But really think about it. If that's what he's saying about Trump, look at what Beto O'Rourke and so many of the Democrats are saying about Trump, that he's a Nazi, that he's a white supremacist, that he's a mortal threat to black people. That's what Beto O'Rourke has said. That he hates people of color, that he's putting children in cages and ripping them away from their parents. Somebody who's maybe a little bit off, maybe even not somebody who's a little bit off, according to the liberals. What do you do with somebody like that? Just like they told us with Antifa, our forefathers went to war against the Nazis and killed them. So why wouldn't we do that to somebody like President Trump? But remember, they're the party of tolerance and love and unity. Yeah. Oh yeah. And this is the ad. This is an ad put out by a Republican group, and it starts off with a picture of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and then the picture starts with a little flame in the middle. You ever see the old show Bonanza? Remember? And then the map has a little flame start in the middle, and it burns up. That's what happens with this ad with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's face, while a GOP candidate tells you her story. Listen to this.
This is the face of socialism and ignorance. Does Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez know the horror of socialism? My father was minutes from death in Cambodia before a forced marriage saved his life. That's socialism. Forced obedience, starvation. Mine is a face of freedom. My skin is not white. I'm not outrageous, racist, nor socialist. I'm a Republican.
And, of course, what was AOC's response? That ad is racist. The woman who put it together there is Elizabeth Heng. She's of half Cambodian and half American descent. And she's a racist, according to AOC. And she said, no. This ad is about fighting the socialist agenda. I'm not afraid to engage in a debate of ideas. And it's the AOC extremists that have to resort to name-calling because they don't have real solutions for our country. And, of course, so the reason that she has it of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's face burning up is she's attacking socialism. Here's what AOC tweeted about that ad. Republicans are running TV ads setting pictures of me on fire to convince people they aren't racist. Life is weird. Of course, she leaves out that it was put together by a woman who's half Cambodian and half American. She continued to tweet, AOC did, a love letter to the GOP's white supremacist case. Yeah, because white supremacists love half Cambodian, half American women running for office. These people are nuts. These people are insane. 844-DIG-CHAD gets you on board the program. 844-DIG-CHAD and you're in. We'll continue to talk throughout the show about what's going on with the debate. I've got lots of clips from a lot of the different candidates that I want to let you hear and get your response to. But there's other things going on as well today. And I really want to know what you think about this. Bullying. Now, don't turn the dial. Hold on a second. Because you may be like me and you're tired of hearing about bullying. I feel like I've been bullied about the bullying. You know, like I'm being bullied into actually listening to more stories about bullying. And I'll tell you why. Because we've turned a real thing of bullying, where a kid's picked on day after day after day, and maybe he's beaten or he's emotionally abused or whatever it is, real bullying, which I really think is a problem that people have to work on, to this idea that if somebody calls you a name, you're bullied and the worst thing in the world just happened to you. I mean, are you kidding? So here's the latest, and I'll tell you a little bit about my thoughts on it, my story, and I want to know what you think. Have you heard the story about the kid who created his own University of Tennessee T-shirt for their college day in 4th grade? College Spirit Day. This has gone viral. You've probably seen it. And I just have to say, I don't like it. What? How could you not like it? This is a great story. Okay, let me set you up with the story in case you haven't heard. 4th grade, elementary school in Orlando, Florida, Altamont Springs, sorry. And it was College Spirit Day. Just happened last month. Well, he wanted to do a shirt for the University of Tennessee. Here's what the teacher wrote on Facebook about it. When I told my students about this a week before, this particular child came to me and told me he wanted to wear a University of Tennessee shirt, but he didn't have one. So we discussed that he could wear an orange shirt to show a spirit. And he was very excited about it. He was going to do it. And when the day finally arrived, he was so excited. He showed me his shirt, and he had actually taken a piece of paper and made a giant UT on it. And he's 4th grade, so it's not great. And then he pinned it to his orange shirt, and that was his college spirit shirt. And he wore it, to lunch. And when he came back from lunch, he just put his head down on his desk, and he was crying. So the teacher went over, what happened? And he said, well, some girls at the lunch table next to me, and they didn't even participate in College Spirit Day, they made fun of my sign that I had on my shirt. She wrote, he was devastated. And devastated's in caps, just in case you didn't understand that devastated's a big deal. And I'm thinking to myself, this kid was not bullied. This kid had a couple other kids laugh at his shirt. That is not bullying. That's somebody teasing you. We have turned the just normalcy of childhood into some kind of pathology. Are you telling me that no one ever made fun of anything you did in high school or middle school or elementary school, and if they did even one time, you were bullied? So, when I wore some of the stuff that you wear to school in the 80s, and some of the stuff was pretty weird, and somebody goes, dude, those parachute pants are ugly, I was bullied. Well, let me take that back. My parents would never buy me parachute pants. I was bullied because my mom decided that we didn't need to buy all new clothes all the time. So my brother, who was 3 years older than me, would give me his hand-me-down jeans, and I would wear those. And they weren't even like the cool Levi's. They were Tough Skins, if you remember those from Sears. Not cool. Really not cool in middle school. And so I had baggy jeans before baggy jeans were cool. I had baggy jeans because my brother was 3 years older than me, and so I would be made fun of for my jeans. So, you know what my dad said about that? Hey, you're lucky you got some nice jeans. Done. And I got in seventh grade, I got in 13 fights. I didn't start a single one. It was because kids picked on me. See, we called it picking on you back then. Because I was skinny. I had glasses. I had acne. I was a little bit socially awkward. It was definitely my awkward years. And so in seventh grade, every bully thought he could pick a fight with me, and they could. And so I got into 13 fights because my dad said, you got to fight back. Never won any of those fights, but it was always a different kid. So it was never the same kid twice. So after the 13 fights were done, people quit picking on me. Greg, are you suggesting violence is the answer? Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. No, it's never the answer. Really? Do you remember World War II? Never the answer. Instead, this kid. So now, wait till you hear what's happened to this kid. Now that he's been bullied, wait till you hear the response when this went viral. We'll get to that in a second. My name's Greg Knapp, in for Chad Benson. 844-DIG-CHAD. Chad Benson Show.
Plea deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
And I'm glad you're here on The Chad Benson Show. My name's Greg Knapp, filling in, and I'm willing to be the bad guy for you. I'm willing to be the bad guy because we got this 4th grade kid. He wants to have a U T-shirt on, University of Tennessee, for College Spirit Day. He doesn't own one, so he draws one on a notebook paper, UT, pins it to his shirt, goes to the lunch, and a few girls at the other table laugh at him. So he goes back to class, slumped over, puts his head on his desk, crying. His teacher said he was devastated. She posted on Facebook, and what do you know? UT finds out about it, and the volunteers put together a T-shirt using his design. They're selling 50,000 of these shirts. All the proceeds will go to Stomp Out Bullying, a nonprofit. Wait, why doesn't this kid get some money? It was his design. They can't just steal his design. What's going on here? He should get some money for this. Well, UT says they're going to give him a complete scholarship if he qualifies by the time he gets to college. And isn't this a great heartwarming story? No, it's not. Because what we've done is we've taken something that's really silly and normal and small, some people laughing at somebody, and instead of just using it as a teachable moment, to go up to the girls and go, do you understand how you made this boy feel? Do you really think that was the right response? Why don't you apologize to him and don't do this again? And saying to the boy, do you really want to give these girls the power over making you cry? I mean, it was wrong for them to do that, and it shouldn't happen. But how are we going to handle this next time so that you don't let it ruin your day? Because after all, who cares what they think? No. Instead, oh, he's bullied. We got to stomp out bullying. Man, this is going to be awesome. We're going to sell T-shirts, and this kid's going to be celebrated. And what is going on? it drives me a little crazy. That's not bullying. That was just somebody teasing you. Bullying is this repetitive thing that happens. And it just, it gets into you day after day. That's not the same thing as somebody just making fun of you. Look, that's going to happen all your life. I have people laugh at me all the time. Yeah, we know, Greg, you're kind of weird. I'm just saying, there are times you trip or you fall or you're wearing something that somebody thinks is funny or somebody says something mean to you or somebody cuts you off in traffic. Are we all going to break down in tears the second this stuff happens? What happened to this? What happens to the home of the brave? Greg, are you Grandpa Knapp today? Grandpa Knapp's coming off. Get off my lawn. Yeah, sometimes we need Grandpa Knapp because the great-great-grandchildren are acting like weenies. My name's Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad Benson. We got more from the Democratic debate for you in just a second. 844-DIG-CHAD on The Chad Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
And my name's Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad on the Chad Benson Show. You can be a part of the broadcast. 844-DIG-CHAD, 844-DIG-CHAD online, thechadshow.com. And don't forget over at Twitter, it's at Chad Benson Show. Yes, we've got a lot going on with the debate. We're going to get you some of the lowlights, and some of the audio for that and see what you think about that. I'm a little upset with President Trump for jumping on this vape regulation bandwagon. Greg, don't you know that children are vaping? Yes, I know that some underage people are vaping, just like some underage people are drinking beer and drinking hard liquor and doing drugs. I understand that that's going on. I don't want it to go on. But is the answer banning flavored vape products for everyone? And by the way, I don't vape. I'm just talking about this thing called freedom and trying not to regulate things out of existence that just end up being a bigger black market. Oh, and the fact that there is evidence that hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people have quit smoking tobacco into their lungs to vape instead. I'm not saying vape is absolutely safe. I'm just saying it's, according to the studies, safer than smoking. But no. We've got some parents in the suburbs that are upset that some high schoolers are vaping, so therefore we've got to ban the flavored products of vaping that will, of course, just lead to a black market with less regulated, more dangerous flavors. You'd think we'd learn, wouldn't you? I mean, we had this thing called prohibition. We saw what that did. We've had the thing with illegal drugs. We've seen what that did. Oh, and some of the very same people that are so upset about the vaping are the same people that are legalizing marijuana. I mean, it's just... Okay. All right. Sounds perfect. Let's get into what was going on with the Democratic debate last night. Let me start with Amy Klobuchar. Yes, they're saying Amy Klobuchar now. She's really breaking out. I mean, I think something could happen. Her poll numbers are horrible. Well, but last night at the debate, she showed that she could be the adult in the room. She could be the moderate. She could be the one pulling them back from the cliff. They're out there telling you that we're going to do reparations and that half of America is racist and we're going to give free health care and we're going to forgive college debt and we're just going to tax the wealthy to pay for everything as we climb over a rainbow and slide down on the back of a unicorn and land in the pot of gold. And she's saying, no, this won't work. Do you really think she has a chance? No! She doesn't have a snowball on a hot plate chance because she is way too moderate for this Democratic primary. They have gone way too far to the left, and there's no coming back, man. I said, Joe Biden is too moderate for these people. The Obama administration is now too moderate for these people. The very same people that praised Obama, oh, this is the best ever now that he's gone. Oh, man, I can't believe those guys. They were way too moderate. We got to get real change in here. So Amy Klobuchar's out there saying, guys, you might want to tap the brakes on a few of these things because you start looking at how much this is going to cost and what people actually want. Because Bernie's up there telling you it's going to be Medicare for all and nobody's going to have to pay anything. It's going to be awesome. So here's Amy Klobuchar going after Bernie, setting him up nicely on the idea of Medicare for all.
But when it comes to our health care and when it comes to our premiums, I go with the doctor's creed, which is do no harm. And while Bernie wrote the bill, I read the bill. And on page 8 of the bill, it says that we will no longer have private insurance as we know it. And that means that 149 million Americans will no longer be able to have their current insurance. That's in 4 years. I don't think that's a bold idea.
She said, I don't think that's a bold idea. I think that's a bad idea. And she was getting applause. So there she was, taking it right to Bernie, saying, look, you're going to kick 149 million people off their health care who, yeah, the majority of those people, depending on which polling you look at, 80, 90% of those people say, I like my health care. Nope. You gotta give it up. Gots to give it up, man. So is this the turning point? Is this when Amy Klobuchar breaks out? No. These people are trying to say, I'm sorry, no. I really don't think it's going to be anybody but Joe or Elizabeth. And I think it's going to be Elizabeth. I absolutely do. I know a lot of people. I just can't see how it can be Joe Biden. Joe Biden's being hit for being old, right? Because he looks old when he's talking now. Now, last night, I thought he did better than he'd been doing in the other debates. But he still looks old. And he sounds old. And it looks like he doesn't know where he is sometimes. Did you see his teeth fall out last night? David Muir was asking him a question. I can't remember what it was now. I was so distracted because it looked like Biden was eating his own teeth. And then when the question was given to him, he had to suck his teeth back in his mouth to talk. It was very disturbing. There should have been like a mature rating on the TV for that. It wasn't good. And it's really bad for Biden because the idea is already out there that he's too old. So now him almost losing his teeth during the debate fly right into that. It's not good. So I think it's going to be Elizabeth Warren. I do. Oh, but it wasn't just Amy Klobuchar hitting Bernie on Medicare for all. We had Elizabeth Warren jumping in there telling you that nobody likes their insurance company. Nobody. No. Elizabeth Warren up at the top there.
I start with a statement of principles, and that is, in this country, immigration does not make us weaker. Immigration makes us stronger.
Wait, that wasn't that's all right. We got one in there about health care, don't we? I think it's at the very top there under our Buttigieg stuff. So she's talking about, hey, these people don't like their health care. Nobody likes their health care. 80% of Americans approve the quality of their personal health care, by the way. Here you go.
Let's be clear. I've actually never met anybody who likes their health insurance company. I've met people who like their doctors. I've met people who like their nurses. I've met people who like their pharmacists. I've met people who like their physical therapists. What they want is access to health care. And we just need to be clear about what Medicare for All is all about. Instead of paying premiums into insurance companies and then having insurance companies build their profits by saying no to coverage, we're going to do this by saying everyone is covered by Medicare for All. Every health care provider is covered. And the only question here in terms of difference is where to send the bill.
Okay, let's break this down for just a second. I have my 215 insurance license, by the way. So I have sold life insurance, health insurance, and I have helped sign up senior citizens for Medicare, Medicare Advantage, and Medicare supplements. Okay, so she doesn't know what she's talking about. First of all, when she says, I don't know anybody who likes their health insurance company, I've met people who like doctors and like their nurses, their pharmacists. Well, if you like your doctors, you like your nurses, you like the care you're getting, then aren't you by default liking your health insurance company? No, I hate those guys. But you like your health care. Yeah, I love my health care. I got great health care right now. 2018 Gallup poll. Vast majority of Americans happy with their own health care. And the vast majority of Americans rate both the quality and coverage of their care as either excellent or good. 80% of Americans approve of the quality of their personal health care right now. But she said nobody likes it. Then she says, we're going to do this by saying everyone is, instead of paying premiums into insurance companies and having insurance companies build their profits by saying no to coverage, we're going to do this by saying everyone is covered by Medicare for all. Okay, here's what I was telling you about. She doesn't understand Medicare. I would have to read to the people I was helping get their Medicare Advantage plans things that are not covered by Medicare. Dental, vision. Now, that's why you would get Medicare Advantage, because the Advantage part of it would add in the dental, would add in the vision, would add in the hearing. But guess what? Not 100%. And guess what? Not 100% of all your payments for the hospital. Not 100% of all your payments for the doctor. And there are procedures that Medicare won't cover. There are drugs that Medicare won't cover. There's all kinds of stuff that Medicare won't cover. And when Medicare doesn't cover it, we go, well, it's because it's expensive and we're trying to serve everybody. But an insurance company won't cover something. Those greedy bastards. What? You really think that just because it's Medicare for all, now you get anything you want for free? There's no way. But that's what they're pitching to you. And then when the adult in the room stands up and says, whoa, hold on a second. You realize this all costs money, right? And if all of us are getting it for free, we don't have enough to pay for it. Because when you say for free, it means that the taxpayer pays for it. And it means you're going to have to raise the heck out of the taxes. We'll just have the rich pay for it. There's not enough rich. You could take all the money the rich have, not just taxing a little of it. I mean, I'm talking about all of it. And you couldn't pay for this Medicare for all bill over time, over the next 10 years. You just couldn't do it. But she's acting like you can. And that, Medicare is this great place that never, ever says no to anything you need. That is so not true. And by the way, Medicare already has unbelievable liabilities. I mean, you look out at the horizon of Medicare, it's worse than Social Security. We don't have the money right now, and they want to expand it. 844-DIG-CHAD, get you on board. 844-DIG-CHAD, and you're in. And then Elizabeth Warren doubles down with, she wants to raise Social Security payments for 64 million Americans by $200 a month. She's going to pay for it with a 2% wealth tax on every American with over 50 million in assets. Now, remember, this isn't on income. So let's say that over time, I would love to be in this situation. I'm sure you would love to be in this situation. Say maybe you own your own business. Maybe you're some kind of star athlete. And you now have a net worth of over $50 million. You paid taxes on this as you earned it. But now, just because Elizabeth Warren wants to, she's going to slap a 2% wealth tax on that money you've already paid taxes on. I don't even think this is legal. But that's what she wants to do. Because after all, you got enough money. And there are a lot of people who will love that because envy and greed is very common. I don't have any right to your money, and I don't have any right to Tom Brady's money, and I don't have any right to Justin Bieber's money or whoever I don't have any right to the founder of, I don't have any right to Bill Gates' money. I don't have any right to Warren Buffett's money. Why do you think you have a right to somebody's money just because they make a lot of it? This greed and envy and class warfare that the Democrats throw on us is ripping us apart and punishing people for creating something, creating a business that people are paying you for your product and service and are happy to do so because they love what you've produced. And you're employing who knows how many people so that they earn money so they can take care of their family. And now you're going to be punished for that if Elizabeth Warren has her way. Great plan. Great plan. Oh, and then we got Kamala Harris talking about Medicare for all. She flipped on that one. And then she had the line of the night, if you listen to George Stephanopoulos. We'll get that to you as well. My name's Greg Knapp. 844-DIG-CHAD. Get you on board. This is The Chad Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
Hey, my name's Greg Knapp, in for Chad on The Chad Benson Show. 844-DIG-CHAD, get you on board. 844-DIG-CHAD. And we're talking about this, I don't know how to describe it really, clown car of candidates, everything else that's coming to me I can't say on the radio. It's just craziness when you see all the stuff they're throwing out there to see what sticks, to see how far left they can go to try to buy your vote, at least in the primary. I don't know how they're going to pull that back in time for the general to have a chance to beat Trump. Again, what they see should be the easiest election ever to beat this guy. They're already blowing it. So Kamala Harris, I don't know if you remember, back in the Wayback Machine, a town hall in 2017, she said, I'll break some news. I intend to co-sponsor the Medicare for All bill because it's just the right thing to do. And she told the crowd that she was the first lawmaker to endorse the bill. She said, somebody should tell my staff. So for 2 years, she supported that, then reintroduced it, then said she didn't support it. I was finally like, I can't make the circle fit into a square, she explained. Then she came up with an alternative plan. Look, I'm still committed to reining in the private insurance companies. They're jacking up prices, but people want choice, and I don't want to be in the business of taking away their choice. Because remember, she said that her plan would eliminate private health insurance. She said, no, I never said that. Back and forth. So then last night, she comes out again saying that she is in favor of Medicare for all. And so you can't figure out where she is. Yeah, I support Medicare for all. I always have. No, you haven't. But then she had the line that got her all the attention. People have pretty much ignored her on Medicare now because you can't believe her anyway. But the line that got her a lot of attention was she was going after President Trump on his foreign policy, and she ended with this.
Donald Trump in office on trade policy, he reminds me of that guy in The Wizard of Oz, when you pull back the curtain, it's a really small dude.
That was her joke. Wizard of Oz. Okay, I don't know how that rested with the millennials who have probably never seen it, but it got some laughs, and you know who it really got the laughs from? George Stephanopoulos. Listen to this.
That guy in The Wizard of Oz, when you pull back the curtain, it's a really small dude.
Okay. I'm not even going to take the bait, Senator Harris, but I am going to take this to senators.
George, it wasn't about you.
I'm going to take this to senators.
That was actually the best thing Kamala Harris said last night. George, it wasn't about you. That's right. The debate's not supposed to be about George Stephanopoulos or David Muir or Jorge Ramos. It's actually supposed to be about the candidates and the citizens. But they try to make it about them, and George Stephanopoulos thought that was hilarious. You think he'd laugh like that about a joke about Obama like that? Oh, I'm sure he would, because he's not biased. None of these people were. My name's Greg Knapp, in for Chad on The Chad Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
And my name's Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad. You can join in at 844-DIG-CHAD, 844-DIG-CHAD, or you can go online, thechadshow.com, And if you want to check out my website, it's GregoryBKnapp.com. Gregory, B as in boy, Knapp.com, P as in Peter. It's not about politics. It's all about just finding your purpose, living your passion. And it's my blog. It's got my podcast up there on the right-hand side. I'd love for you to check all that out. Let's talk about the vape debate. Look, I don't vape. I don't smoke. But I also am an American. And I believe if you want to, go for it. It's your life. I wish you wouldn't. I think it's bad for you. But I'm not your mom. You want to vape, you want to smoke, knock yourself out. Just don't do it around me, please. Okay? But we've got the nanny state. And it looks like President Trump is jumping into the nanny state here because he's wanting to ban these flavored vapes, the little liquid that goes into your unit. Now, they'd already put pressure on Juul. Juul's the number one selling vape product. So they put pressure on Juul, and Juul has stopped doing the flavored liquids to go into the vape at their stores, but they are still doing it online where there has to be some checks to try to stop the kids from buying it. Guess what that has done? It's led to kids doing what kids have always done. Hey, mister, if I give you a little money, will you go in there and buy me a 6-pack of beer? Now they're doing, hey, mister, if I give you a little money, will you go in there and buy me some bubblegum flavored vape? Or they're just buying it on the black market on the street. But remember, if there's a law against it, it'll just stop. Right? So, and again, because we've got people already breaking the law, remember, you're not supposed to vape if you're a minor. We've got people already breaking the law and doing that. So what we're going to do is we're going to punish the adults who are legally smoking a flavored vape. And we're going to take their flavored vape away, and then all that's going to be left is tobacco flavor, which is what you're trying to get them to stop doing, smoking tobacco. And we're going to keep them hooked on that. Or they're just going to give up and go back to smoking cigarettes. What? Some great pieces in the Wall Street Journal today about it. Listen to this stuff from the Wall Street Journal editorial board. Campaign against vaping products is moving at land speed records. Trump administration announcing it will pull flavored e-cigarettes from the market. Why does Trump think this is the right thing to do, and why should he have that power? Trump said it's a problem in our country. There have been deaths, and there have been a lot of other problems. The First Lady tweeted, she's deeply concerned about e-cigarette use among youth. Yeah, so am I. And so are a lot of parents. And so are a lot of people. I don't want people vaping this, but just pulling the flavor, that's the answer? Well, here's the problem. The Public Health England says these e-cigarettes are 95% safer than smoking cigarettes. That already we have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people quitting smoking because of vaping. And the people who are being hurt, it looks like the vast majority of them are already vaping on things from the black market. I'll get to that in just a second. In fact, Health and Human Services cite an increase in vaping by teenagers as the reason to ban the flavors. But flavors like mango and mint also entice the adults who are trying to quit smoking. And over time, then the idea of smoking a cigarette doesn't taste good anymore. And then they don't want to do it. And it helps them quit. Juul, I told you, number one in the vaping. They pulled their flavors, other than tobacco and menthol, from retail stores last year because of some pressure from the feds. And they sell flavors directly from the website only now with multiple steps of age verification. So now the kids are hanging out at the convenience stores paying people to buy them the flavors. Unintended consequences. Unintended consequences. So then I go to this story from the Wall Street Journal by, I get the names right here, Liam Sigwad and Steve Posiask, and I'm sure I just pronounced their name correctly. They're from the American Consumer Institute, and they got some facts here. Said, look, these deaths and illnesses being reported by the CDC, The FDA and the state and local health departments, they're showing that the people who have been sickened by vaping admit to having used products with liquids containing marijuana extracts and online videos showing consumers how to make their own vape cartridges with infused cannabis oil. You can do it at home. They've been viewed millions of times. See a little YouTube video on how to do this on your own. So it's already black marketed. And these are the people who are getting sick and dying. Last week, 34 people in New York reported to have suffered from respiratory illnesses linked to vaping. Investigators found vitamin E acetate in the vast majority of the samples they analyzed. Why is that important? Because that's used as a thickening agent for the marijuana THC-infused extracts that are added to the vape cartridges. None of these cases of people being sick or dying involved a nicotine product subject to the new FDA ban. Again, we're banning something that didn't cause the problem. Most, if not all, of the recent hospitalizations nationwide due to vaping have been associated with marijuana oil. They said they aren't aware of a single case in the entire country that has been associated with nicotine-only e-cigarettes. And we haven't even gotten to the flavored nicotine products. Not a single one. And as we make it harder for legitimate manufacturers to market their products, some e-cigarette makers and users, some e-cigarette users are turning to the counterfeits. Then you throw in the high taxes and restrictions in some places like California and Michigan, and you've got the black market, and you've got the unintended consequences. Some companies have even been caught selling e-cigarette cartridges that have weight loss and erectile dysfunction medication in it. And the counterfeits can kill. And that's what we're seeing. You know, smoking is the leading cause of preventable death in America, and the nicotine e-cigarettes have been shown to be as effective as 95% safer than smoking a combustible cigarette. So could we do something better to stop children from vaping? Sure, but is this the answer? Love your thoughts on that. 844-DIG-CHAD gets you on board the program. 844-DIG-CHAD. So Trump has been great at deregulating all kinds of stuff, and now he wants to regulate this, and I get the politics of it. Look, all kinds of reports and articles have been written about how Trump is losing the suburban voter. Well, the suburbanites are really ticked off that little Johnny and Susan are vaping. And so the answer is get the government involved. The answer is not take care of your own kid. The answer is get the government involved. It's already illegal for little Johnny and little Susie to vape, but now we want the government to go after flavors that adults like. You know, I started this off by saying, remember, when you were a kid, I'm sure you didn't do this, but I'm sure you knew some kids that would hang out in front of the convenience store and pay some old crusty-looking dude $20 to go in there and buy him a 12-pack of a really cheap beer, and he can keep the change. Right? How is this any different? And yet we're not saying we've got to do away with, all those infused vodkas. You know, you can get lime infused and lemon infused. And look at what's in the beers now. You can get lime beer and orange beer and blueberry beer. We got to get rid of these flavors. I mean, because all it's doing is enticing these children to drink. And all these wine coolers and the nice tasting dessert wines, we got to get rid of those because it's just enticing. No. We're not going to get rid of that. No. Too many voters like that. Too many rich voters like that. Don't mess with my cocktail. Don't mess with my wine. Don't mess with my beer. But, it's the poor white trash that smoke, really. So we can ban vaping. I mean, who cares about that? 844-DIG-CHAD, get you on board the program. Beto O'Rourke. This guy was just all over the place last night. I already played you his racist stuff. Well, he was also out there being asked about guns. And, those crazy right-wingers think that people are coming for their guns. So David Weir was saying to Beto, critics call this confiscation, his proposals. Are you proposing taking away their guns? And how would this work? And Beto O'Rourke just comes out and says, quote, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against your fellow Americans anymore. Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15 and your AK-47. But remember, if anybody tells you they're coming from your guns, they're crazy. They're just those crazy, whacked out people in flyover country who cling to their religion and their guns. Nobody's really coming to take your gun. Except Beto O'Rourke if he wins. And Beto's pushing the entire Democratic Party to the far, far left on this. So he goes on, by the way. He went on to argue that gun confiscation, his plan, enjoys the support of the majority of voters, including those in red states. No, it doesn't. It all depends on how you word these questions and what the poll is. Because I guarantee you, a majority of people in red states who own guns are not in favor of the government coming and taking your AR-15 or your AK-47. Beto calls this a weapon of war. And after all, you don't need a weapon of war. I mean, who could argue with that? I can. We'll do it in just a second. 844-DIG-CHAD, get you on board. My name's Greg Knapp. This is The Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
And my name's Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad on The Chad Benson Show. You can find out more about me, my website, GregoryBKnapp.com. Gregory B as in boy, KNAPP.com. And right there, you'll find a free gift for you. 5 steps on how to find your purpose. That's what the website's all about. It's not about politics. There's a link to my podcast there as well. Find your purpose, live your passion. We're talking about Beto O'Rourke. At the debate, he says, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47. We're not going to allow it to be used against a fellow American anymore. And he went on. Folks who said, I would give that up, cut it to pieces. I don't need this weapon to hunt. He's talking about people in the red states. I don't need this weapon to hunt, to defend myself. It's a weapon of war. So let's do the right thing. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. People in red states are not saying that because they're smarter than that if they own guns. It's a weapon of war, Greg. It's a semi-automatic rifle. What makes it a, quote, assault rifle is purely cosmetic. You know, what kind of grip or what kind of stock or, you know, can you attach a bayonet to it or what, all these different things that and I can't even keep up with it. It depends on who you're talking to on what qualifies as a, quote, assault rifle. But you realize the AR-15 is the most popular rifle in America. Don't you? And it's not because everybody's just waiting to shoot up a liquor store. It's because people are using it for self-defense in their homes. Because they're finding that it's easier to use and more stable and more accurate and easier to have the kind of ammunition you need to defend your home. What are you talking about? You just take a revolver. You got 6 shots. That's all you need, man. Okay, let's say you have 2 intruders in the middle of the night, and it's dark, and they're shooting at you. You want 6 rounds in a revolver, or would you like 15 for your AR-15? I'll take the second choice every time. The Second Amendment is not about hunting. The Second Amendment is about defending you and your family and your country. That's what it's about. So to act like somehow this is the worst thing ever and guns are the problem, you still realize, even with all the shootings we've had, all rifles, including AR-15s and AK-47s, all rifles are responsible for fewer murders in this country than people's hands and fists. But Beto O'Rourke, he's going to... And then Elizabeth Warren lied about it. I'm sorry. Beto O'Rourke also, right before the debate, urged the banks not to do gun transactions. However inadvertent or deliberate, credit card companies and banks profit off those who terrorize our communities. What? Well, you let them buy a gun with your credit card. but it was the legal gun purchase. Well, but sometimes those guns get stolen. Sometimes those guns then get resold to bad people. Sometimes people buy the gun legally when they shouldn't have. And that's the problem with the credit card company? I could say that about people driving drunk. Well, you let them buy more beer with your credit card, and then they went in a car and killed people. It's your fault, credit card companies. This is nonsense. So a credit card company should not be allowed to do a legal business transaction because you don't like guns? Then Elizabeth Warren lies about it. Here's what she claimed in the debate about the so-called assault ban. We have a Congress that is beholden to the gun industry, and unless we're willing to address that head on and roll back the filibuster, we're not going to get anything done on guns. I was in the United States Senate when 54 senators said, let's do background checks. Let's get rid of assault weapons. And with 54 senators, it failed because of the filibuster. It's just not true. As John McCormick points out over at NRO, it is true about the background check. There were 54 votes for that. But the so-called assault weapons ban, Democrats controlled the Senate 55 to 45. And it only got 40 votes. 16 Democrats voted against the so-called assault weapons ban, which, by the way, when it was in place, did nothing statistically significant to change gun homicides at all. From 2004 to 2012, the Democrats intentionally retreated on gun control because they thought they had to win elections, and that's the facts. As McCormick points out, the New York Times reported on Wednesday, Democrats still don't have the votes to pass a so-called assault weapons ban in the House of Representatives, even though they hold 235 of the 435 seats. But it's all because of this awful filibuster in the Senate. That's the problem, right? Oh, hey, here's some good news from the NFL, believe it or not. Instead of kneeling for the anthem, we had Cam Newton last night wearing on his shoes a tribute to the 9/11 first responders in commemoration of 18 years after 9/11. Now, I know it was on 9/12 that he played the game, but he didn't play a game on 9/11, so give the guy a break. On 9/12, he put it on his shoes, and I thought that was super cool. The social media account tweeted images of Newton praying while wearing the shoes before the game against the Buccaneers. Never forget, they tweeted out, with an emoji symbol of prayer. And it's not the first time that Cam Newton has shown respect for 9/11 first responders. He did it in 2011 on 9/11 for the New York Fire Department. Bad news is he lost to the Bucs, which really stinks, but thank you, Cam. Appreciate it. My name's Greg Knapp, in for Chad Benson on The Chad Benson Show.
This is The Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
And my name's Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad on The Chad Show. 844-DIG-CHAD lets you tell everybody what you think. 844-DIG-CHAD. And you can go online, thechadshow.com. Don't forget, follow him on Twitter, at Chad Benson Show. Yeah, we're going to get into a lot of what happened at the debate last night. I want you to hear some of the craziness that was said, and you tell me if the Democrats are bringing us together, if the Democrats are the party of tolerance and love, or if they're actually the party of division, and a party that wants you to believe that half of America is racist, and a party that wants you to believe that actually following the laws that Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate and Democrat and Republican presidents signed into law are actually horrible, awful, evil, racist things, and we shouldn't be following them at all. Because that's what they were saying last night. I'm not exaggerating. That really is what they were saying. And get ready, because you're going to be told that President Trump is going to make your water dirty and people are going to die. But wait till you hear what this water regulation really is. And did you know spending time with your friends could ward off dementia? We got that and a lot more. It's all coming up this hour of the Chad Benson Show. My name's Greg Knapp, filling in for Chad. Let's jump right into what happened at the debate last night. Okay? Jorge Ramos was there. This guy is not a journalist. This guy is absolutely promoting open borders as much as possible. Everywhere he goes. That's his MO. He doesn't like American immigration law. He wants it wiped out. He wants open borders. He wants to get rid of ICE. And he's the guy asking questions at this debate? I thought the questions are supposed to be, neutral. And you let the candidate give their opinion. But, man, some of the stuff he was saying last night. So he starts off going after Elizabeth Warren here, asking her about what's going on with our immigration laws. And here's the question. Let's set it up. Jorge Ramos to Elizabeth Warren.
You want to replace ICE, the agency in charge of rounding up undocumented immigrants. So how would you deal with the millions of immigrants who arrive legally but overstay their visas? And how would you stop hundreds of thousands of Central Americans who want to migrate to the U.S.?
So how would you deal legally with the people who came in here legally and overstayed their visa? Okay, no problem. And then how would you deal with the hundreds of thousands from Central America who are trying to come in? It's a great question because none of these Democrats really have a plan for what to do with these people rushing our border illegally and claiming asylum. Remember, asylum was supposed to be set up for people who were refugees from war or they were political refugees. But now what it's been turned into, and no law change, this is just the way that it's been interpreted, that they've moved it to the point that if you are poor, claim asylum. If you have gangs in your neighborhood, claim asylum. If you have been a victim of domestic violence, claim asylum. Well, heck, we got lots of people here in America living in bad neighborhoods that could claim asylum somewhere. That's not what asylum's for. And that's why we find more and more that upwards of 90 to 95% of these people claiming asylum, when it finally goes through the court, they don't have standing for asylum. But they know if they can just get in, and then we have to release them because of the way the court's interpreted holding people who have come here illegally. And we certainly don't want to separate families, right? So we got to release them all. They fade into the American culture, and they're here. So they know if I can come in with a kid, I can get in, I can stay, and they'll tell me I have to come back to a court hearing, but hey, I don't have to go. So here's Jorge Ramos. How would you deal with the people who have overstayed their visas? They came here legally and overstayed. And how would you deal with the hundreds of thousands who are coming from Central America? Listen to Elizabeth Warren.
I start with a statement of principles, and that is, in this country, immigration does not make us weaker. Immigration makes us stronger.
Okay, I wanted to stop it there for just a second because did you notice she didn't say whether she was talking about legal immigration or illegal immigration? Because that's what the left does. They're conflating the two. They don't want you to see that there's a difference between people coming legally, doing the things that we ask them to do so that we can vet them, so that we can know how many people are coming and who's coming. You realize we take almost 2 million legal immigrants a year. They're conflating that now with people who are jumping the line, people who are just coming in illegally. So, yes, I agree with you that legal immigration is still good for this country, not illegal. All right, here she continues.
I want to see us expand legal immigration and create a pathway to citizenship for our dreamers, but also for their grandparents and for their cousins, for people who overstayed student visas, and for people who came here to work in the fields. I want to have a system that is a path to citizenship that is fair and achievable.
How is it fair? How is it fair to give citizenship to people who came here illegally? When people who have been waiting for years just to get here, not only do they not get citizenship, they're not even allowed in. How is that fair, Elizabeth Warren? Because you lived closer to this country and you were able to hop across the Rio Pequeño or come in on a container ship from wherever, now you're allowed to stay, and not only allowed to stay, not only allowed to work, not only allowed to get in-state tuition to college, but to get American citizenship. How is that fair? So not only does she want to continue with our legal immigration of almost 2 million a year, she wants to expand that. Not even just to the people who came here illegally as children, but to those children's, not just their parents, their grandparents and their cousins. You want to talk about chain migration? So because your relative came here illegally, now you get to come in legally? There can't be a majority of America who thinks that's a good idea. Greg, why do you hate brown people? See, that's their response to everything. It's racism. Wait a second. I don't care whether you're white as the driven snow or black as night or somewhere in between. What I care about is, are you coming legally? Because if you're coming legally, God bless you, man. Come in. Welcome to the country. I hope you do extremely well and live up to the best potential God placed in your heart. I'm for you, man. But if you come here illegally, no, your first action in America cannot be to break the law. So she wants to expand the illegal immigration to become legal and then bring in more people. And for everybody who came and overstayed their visa, we're going to let you stay too. So if you can get a college visa from anywhere in America, anywhere around the world to come to America, then you just get to stay if Elizabeth Warren has her way. That's fair? She wasn't done. Let's hear the next one.
Down at the border, we've got to rework this entirely. A system right now that cannot tell the difference in the threat posed by a terrorist, a criminal, and a 12-year-old girl is not a system that is keeping us safer, and it is not serving our values.
You know why we can't tell the difference? Because many of these people came from countries that don't have databases. You know, we have databases. You commit a crime, you get fingerprinted, you go in the database. A lot of these countries don't have good databases like this. You know, a lot of these people coming over, they don't have any ID. So we take their fingerprints, and how do we know what they've ever done? And we're overwhelmed because so many are coming day after day after day after day. Some of them are even now advertising, selling and buying children so they can come in with a child so that they can stay. So what's your answer? She didn't have an answer. She just said, yeah, we've got to do better. Well, what does that mean? What will you do when a few 100,000 people come across illegally and say, we demand to stay, and by the way, we have children, and therefore you can't hold us more than 20 days, and we'll see you later? What is your plan? They don't have one. Here's a little bit more from Elizabeth Warren.
I think we have to look at all the pieces. Why do we have a crisis at the border? In no small part because we have withdrawn help from people in Central America who are suffering. We need to restore that help. We need to help establish and reestablish the rule of law so that people don't feel like they have to flee for their lives.
Wait a second. It's our fault? So the people from Central America who are coming to America, it's America's fault that they're coming to America because we haven't done enough in the Central American countries to decrease their crime rate and to increase their economy because we're no longer giving them enough money. Let me ask you something, just as, just the average American. I mean, most Americans want to pay as little taxes as they can. I know a lot of the people on the far left act like they want to pay more taxes, but here's the thing. They're lying because there's a little box on your tax return. I don't know if you ever noticed it. You can check this little box and you can donate to the federal treasury as much as you want. So if the people on the far left really meant it when they said they want to pay more taxes, they could just do it. Nothing is stopping them. Of course they don't want to. Nobody wants to pay more than they're legally obligated to pay. Now do you want to pay more so that we can send billions of dollars to Central America that's going to be wasted on corrupt government officials? I mean, we've tried this year after year after year after year. It's not our fault that there's crime in Central America. It's not our fault that their government is not working better. It's not our fault that they're making it harder for their own people to use entrepreneurship to increase their economic growth. That's not our fault. But see, Elizabeth Warren is like so many of these people on the far left. It's not just blame America first. It's blame America first, last, and always. And I just don't think a majority of America agrees with that. Do you? Hey, in just a second, you want to talk about dividing America. Wait till you hear what Pete Buttigieg says about you. We'll get to that in just a second. 844-DIG-CHAD. My name's Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad Benson on The Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
My name's Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad on The Chad Benson Show. 844-DIG-CHAD, and you are in the program at Chad Benson Show on Twitter. talking about the Democrats keep saying they're the party of love and tolerance and unity, and Trump's the one that's so hate-filled and he's divisive, and then they lie about him. And they say you, because you voted for Trump, you're racist. But we love you. We'll tolerate you. No. And if you disagree with them on things like taxes, you're a Nazi. You're a fascist. You think I'm kidding? I'm not making this stuff up. Let's go right to Pete Buttigieg. He was asked a question that was so loaded by Jorge Ramos. Remember I told you this guy's not a journalist. Listen to this question by Jorge Ramos before we even get to the answer by Pete Buttigieg. Here we go.
President Trump has called Mexican immigrants rapists and killers, tried to ban Muslims from entering the country, and separated children from their parents. His supporters have chanted, "Build the wall and send her back." Do you think that people who support President Trump and his immigration policies are racist?
Do you think people who support President Trump and his immigration policies are racist? So the 66 million of you who voted for President Trump for all kinds of reasons, but also because of what was going on with the illegal immigration problem getting out of control. It can't be because you actually want the law enforced. No. It can't be because you actually think that it's bad for America to have 10, 12, 20 million illegal aliens in the country. No. It's because you're racist. Because Jorge Ramos believes in open borders. Well, let's take his little question apart here, because he lies and twists words in this thing. Quote, President Trump has called Mexican immigrants rapists and killers. No, that's not what he said. When he came down that escalator, when he was getting ready to run for president, he did not say all Mexican immigrants are rapists and killers. No, he said this. He was talking about illegal aliens coming across the Mexican border. And he said, when Mexico sends them here, they're not sending their best. He was talking about illegal aliens. And there were Latinos in his crowd. And he actually referred to them by saying, they're not sending you. They're not sending you. He was looking at people in the crowd. Legal people who had immigrated from Mexico or from some other Central or South American country. They're not sending you. They're not sending you. He said, in some cases, they're sending rapists and killers. But Jorge Ramos made it sound like, oh, yeah, Trump says all Mexicans are rapists and killers. It's a blatant lie, totally misleading, but he doesn't care. He said it so much he probably believes it himself now. It's not true. Then he went on. Trump tried to ban Muslims from entering the country. No. What he did was put a ban on people coming in from certain countries that were a majority Muslim because we couldn't tell who they were. By the way, how did he know which countries to put on that list? The list was from the Obama administration. It was the list of countries the Obama administration said did not have a good enough vetting process, database, whatever you want to call it, so that we would know if the people coming in were related to terrorism at all or not. Lots of other Muslim countries were not on that list. So he lies. He lies and he lies. But he doesn't care. And separating children from their parents. Well, that's because of the way that the law has been interpreted, where they said that you can't hold the minors for more than 20 days. So the people come across illegally as a family, you hold them together as a family 20 days. You've either got to let them all go or you've got to separate the family. By the way, if your mom gets a DUI and goes to jail, aren't you separated from her? Let's say your dad writes a bunch of bad checks and he gets arrested and put in jail. Aren't you separated from him if you're the child? Yes, we separate people from their children every day when they break a law and are incarcerated. Wow, that's just totally different. No, it's really not. So that was the big question. But now listen to Buttigieg's answer. So, are the people who support President Trump and his immigration policies racist? Here's what Pete Buttigieg says.
Anyone who supports this is supporting racism. Este es racismo y es sencillo.
So anyone who supports enforcing the law Really, that's what Trump has done. Because the question was, people who support President Trump and his immigration policies, are they racist? Trump is supporting the law. So you're racist if you believe in the law. Really. By the way, last month, Buttigieg also said Trump voters will be looking the other way on racism if they vote for him. Beto O'Rourke of Texas said it's really hard not to view supporters of Trump as racist. And Beto O'Rourke even went further. He said about Trump, his description of white nationalists and Klansmen and neo-Nazis are very fine people. That's a blatant lie. And it's been told so much, people believe it. President Trump actually said, when he said there were fine people on both sides at Charlotte, he said, I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the Klansmen. I'm not talking about them. I'll tell you more about that in just a second. And another one from Beto O'Rourke. My name's Greg Knapp, in for Chad Benson on The Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
My name is Greg Knapp, in for Chad Benson on The Chad Benson Show. You can jump in at Chad Benson Show online. That is actually thechadshow.com. I apologize. And on Twitter, you just follow at Chad Benson Show. My web address is GregoryBKnapp.com. Gregory B as in boy, Knapp as in Peter.com. I've got a free book for you there. I've got my podcast there. It's not about politics. It's all about how you find your purpose and live your passion. All right, so we're talking about being divided here by race because Pete Buttigieg is saying if you vote for Trump, you're racist. If you support his immigration policies, you're racist. We've got Beto O'Rourke saying that, it's hard to think that you're not racist. Really hard not to view you not racist if you vote for Trump. And said his description of white nationalists and Klansmen and neo-Nazis is very fine people. He didn't say that. When he was talking about what happened in Charlottesville, when he said there were very fine people on both sides, he was talking about the people that had actually come there to say we shouldn't be tearing statues down. He specifically said not the neo-Nazis and Klansmen. And if there's very fine people on both sides, he certainly wasn't talking about Antifa on the other side. He was talking about the other people that had just come there to protest and say, we do believe we should tear down these statues. But they don't care what the truth is. They want you to believe this lie because they want you to be so afraid that somebody's going to call you a racist that you won't stand up for what you believe in. Well, Beto O'Rourke wasn't done. He was talking about race in America. And listen to what he thinks about America. Tell me if this is how you see America. Here's Beto O'Rourke.
Racism in America is endemic. It is foundational. We can mark the creation of this country not at the 4th of July, 1776, but August 20th, 1619, when the first kidnapped African was brought to this country against his will and in bondage and as a slave, built the greatness and the success and the wealth that neither he nor his descendants would ever be able to fully participate in and enjoy.
Man, is that how you see America? That the birth of America really is the first African slave that came in 1619? That's the birth of America? Not where half the founding fathers didn't want slavery at all and had to make a compromise to create the United States. Not all the efforts that were done for the abolition of slavery leading up to a war that was fought to end it. Not to everything that has been done to try to eradicate racism in this country, because there's racism all around the world. We didn't invent slavery in America. And by the way, it's more than just black people who have been slaves in the world's history. And in fact, there were black Africans that were taking white Europeans as slaves, if you go back far enough. But yet, only America is responsible for all racism around the world, and racism can only go one way, according to Beto O'Rourke, and we're really no better off than we were during slave times as far as race relations goes, according to people like Beto O'Rourke. I mean, it's insane. It's awful. It's awful to say this about our country. Is that going to work? No, it's not working. That's why he's one of the reasons he's got such a horrible polling number right now. But he's pushing the left farther and farther and farther. And more people jumping on board, trying to win some woke votes by talking about how horrible, awful, evil, racist America is. Compared to what? And especially compared to when? And it said they haven't enjoyed any of the wealth. That's just not true. Generation after generation after generation. People of all colors are enjoying the benefits of the birth of this nation. But you wouldn't believe it if you listened to the people on the far left. It's really, really sad, divisive, and certainly not unifying and loving and tolerant. Love trumps hate. Love trumps hate. But all you guys do is hate. What are you talking about? All right, I got some good ones for you. How about this? Spending time with friends every day may lower dementia risk. All right, it's a new study. Social contact after age 60 could really help you stave off that cognitive decline. It's a study out of the University College London, and they're finding that if you keep this active social life into your 50s and 60s, it can really help you ward off dementia. Here's what they found. In middle age in life, this social contact appears to lower the risk of dementia, and they think they know the reasons. They say that people who are socially engaged are exercising their cognitive skills like memory and language, and it helps them develop what they call cognitive reserve. So it may not actually stop your brain from changing, which leads to dementia, but what they're saying it can do, that cognitive reserve could actually help you cope better as your brain changes with age, and it can delay those symptoms of dementia for you. That's pretty cool. I love it. Now, they really found a statistically significant difference on that in the 50s and your 60s. And they found that it still helps you in your 70s, but they said it wasn't statistically significant, and they're going to do more study on that. But I love that. That's awesome. So keep up your friends. Okay, where do you find friends when you're 50s and your 60s? Especially if you're out of the workforce. Once you get out of the workforce, then you're saying, I don't know where to meet people. Well, church, synagogue, some kind of club, some kind of a group. Whatever it is you like to do, meetups, there's all kinds of places that you can find people to hang out with that are going to support you, lift you up, and encourage you, and maybe even stave off a little dementia. Yep, you're welcome. Okay, so the EPA is announcing now a repeal of a water regulation. And, oh, man, I got into this with a friend of mine a little while ago. Trump's making our air and water dirty. I mean, all these regulations he's rolling back. I'm like, let's look at the actual regulations. Because we're talking about rolling back some things that should never have been rolled forward. Well, you want pollution? Now, are you looking at what it actually says? For instance, let's look at this new one. They called it the Clean Water Rule. Well, who could be against that? And then you look into it, and what it actually was an expansive definition of what they called navigable waters. Now, what do you think navigable waters are? Waters you can navigate, right? So you should be able to get in a boat and navigate right down the waters. Nope. Not when they expanded it under the Obama administration. We're talking about things like seasonal streams. That means only sometimes is it a stream. Other times it's totally dry. Ponds, ditches, depressions in a farmer's field. So if you had a depression in your field, and during the rainy season there was water in it, but during the dry season there was no water in it, the Obama administration, for the first time ever, declared that a navigable water, and now you were under federal regulation on your property, and you had to get everything cleared from the federal government before you did something like plow your own field. That makes your drinking water safer? It's sheer nonsense. And thankfully, they're repealing it now. The rule's been something that they've been looking at since 2017. Now, there was a ruling called Rapinos versus United States, and it restricted the federal government's regulatory authority to bodies of water with a somewhat permanent flow. And that, again, was a ruling, not a law. They were ruling on what the law was about navigable waters. To me, man, navigable waters should be things that you can actually drive a doggone boat through, right? According to the National Federation of Independent Businesses, the Obama-era rule gave the EPA authority over all kinds of things that weren't navigable. It was a power grab. And it was really tough on landowners and farmers. But then you listen to somebody like Nancy Pelosi. Now, listen to how I just explained to you what this actually is, right? And listen to Nancy Pelosi's response to this. The president's dirty water rule will pollute and poison the clean drinking water of tens of millions of families and communities. Yet again, this administration has sold out our children to further enrich big corporate polluters. What? That's a total lie. Total lie. And by the way, this simply gives the power back to the states. It doesn't say that, okay, now you farmers can go out there and do whatever you want to the water. Make it as dirty as you want. It's simply saying the federal government doesn't have the right to step in and do something about it. What do you think? 844-DIG-CHAD gets you on board the program. 844-DIG-CHAD, and you are in. Oh, I haven't gotten into the Joe Biden stuff very much at all. So Joe Biden, he's still in the lead in most of these presidential polls. Elizabeth Warren catching up in many of them, but he's still considered the front runner. And the big knocks on him are he looks old. He sounds old. He's having trouble even speaking clearly sometimes. Sometimes he literally doesn't know where he is. Am I in New Hampshire? Am I in Vermont? I don't know. Literally. And he played into it last night. I don't know if you saw this question. David Muir was asking Biden a question. And if you watch, it looks like he's chewing his own teeth. It was really difficult to watch. And after Muir asked him the question, as Biden starts to answer it, his teeth almost come out. And he has to suck his own teeth back into his mouth. It was really kind of nasty and gross. And normally you'd say, oh, don't pick on a guy. He's an older guy. Leave him. But the problem is when the knock against you is you're old and then your teeth fall out. It's not a good look, man. It is not a good look for old Sleepy Joe. And then he said something that even his own campaign had to backtrack from, and Julio Castro goes after him for forgetting. We'll get you all that in just a minute. 844-DIG-CHAD, get you on board the program. 844-DIG-CHAD. My name's Greg Knapp. I'm in for Chad Benson on The Chad Benson Show.
Let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
My name's Greg Knapp. You are in the Chad Benson Show. I'm filling in for Chad. You can go online to thechadshow.com, Twitter at Chad Benson Show. And if you want to find out more about me, it's GregoryBKnapp.com. Gregory B as in boy, KNAPP.com. And that's not about politics. It's all about finding your purpose, living your passion. I got a free gift there for you, and I got my podcast there as well. I was talking about Joe Biden. He's got some knocks against him. He's old. He's forgetful. He's mumbling his words. And really now it seems like being part of the Obama administration isn't good. He wasn't liberal enough, and he still isn't. And now people are going after him, and he's not helping himself when he says things like this last night in the debate. Nobody should be in jail for a nonviolent crime. Wait, what? Nobody should be in jail for a nonviolent crime. Oh, okay. And then the left went nuts on him for that, pointing out, okay, well, what about Paul Manafort, Trump campaign manager? He's in prison for white-collar offenses, and, he wasn't violent. Should he not be in prison? And, oh, by the way, Joe Biden, what about Bernie Madoff? How about farmer bro Martin Shkreli? And they were going for all these rich white collar people. Absolutely. How dare you let but what about even beyond that? And I agree, by the way. But what about you're asleep at night? Some dude comes into your driveway, hops in your car, hot wires it, and takes off. Should that person not go to jail? You're away on vacation. Some burglars come in and they rob your entire house. You come home and the whole house is cleaned out. Hey, it was nonviolent. Should they not go to jail? And so even Biden's campaign had to, wait. Well, what he meant was, come on. What he was talking about was nonviolent drug offenses. Okay, but even there, I understand if you said nonviolent drug offense for someone who is simply using the drug. But what if you catch some guy who's the dealer? He's dealing drugs to, I don't know, let's say a couple hundred people. He hasn't hurt anybody. He hasn't shot anybody. He's just dealing drugs. Should that person not go to jail? It starts to change a little bit when you really start to think about what they're saying. I totally get the idea that you catch somebody who simply has an ounce of marijuana in their car. Does it make sense to put them in jail for 20 years? No, I don't think so. But, it's another little slip that shows that maybe little Sleepy Joe's having some problems. And Julian Castro went after that. It's backfiring on him a little bit. I know he's ticked right now. Julian Castro goes after Joe Biden, helps all the other Democrats, and all the other Democrats are saying he shouldn't have done it. So here's Julio Castro going after Joe Biden on Joe Biden's Medicare plan.
But the difference between what I support and what you support, Vice President Biden, is that you require them to opt in. And I would not require them to opt in. They would automatically be enrolled. They wouldn't have to buy in. That's a big difference because Barack Obama's vision was not to leave 10 million people uncovered. He wanted every single person in this country covered. My plan would do that. Your plan would not.
They do not have to buy in. They do not have to buy in.
You just said that. You just said that 2 minutes ago. You just said 2 minutes ago that they would have to buy in. You said they would have to buy in.
Have to buy in. If she qualifies for Medicaid,
are you forgetting what you said 2 minutes ago?
Be in for it.
Already what you said just 2 minutes ago?
Did you hear that? Are you, Julian Castro, going for the jugular? Are you forgetting what you said just 2 minutes ago? And the reason the crowd went nuts is what we talked about. Joe Biden forgot what state he was in. Joe Biden's been saying the wrong words. Joe Biden's been stumbling and fumbling and mumbling. And so here's Julian Castro going after the fact that Joe Biden is old. And he's going after him that he's got some deficiencies mentally that he can't even remember what he said 2 minutes ago. And what I think is really interesting about this, as the people started to go, whoa, Julian Castro thought he was winning. So he doubles down and says it again. Did you forget what you were saying 2 minutes ago? And they keep going. Listen to this.
I mean, I can't believe that you said 2 minutes ago that they had to buy in, and now you're saying they don't have to buy. You're forgetting that.
I said anyone like your grandmother who has no money.
We need a healthcare system.
You're automatically enrolled.
Wow. They kind of went at it, didn't they? And now you've got people saying, oh, Julian shouldn't have done that. No, you even got the ladies over at The View. Joy Behar is over there. Oh, shouldn't have gone after old people. We will turn on you. Mm-hmm. And he's like, man, I did everybody's dirty work, and now I'm going to be the one that's in trouble for it. You know, everybody else on that stage wanted me to take Biden down a peg or two. I did it, and now I'm the bad guy. Yep. That's how it goes, Buster. That's how it goes. Oh, did you see this one? I think this is fairly breaking news. That story about the wealthy families that were trying to buy their children into college. Felicity Huffman, one of the actresses involved with this. Well, breaking now is from Fox News. Felicity Huffman sentenced today 14 days in prison and a $30,000 fine. Whoa. 14. Did you think they were going to get prison time? Because she was pleading guilty compared to some of the other ones that were fighting it. 14 days in prison, $30,000 fine in that college admissions scandal that's been going on with the rich families who were funneling cash to the so-called fixers, getting people into the prestigious colleges and universities. And she's got to serve 1 year of probation and perform 250 hours of community service. She came out and said, I'm sorry to the judge. I'm deeply sorry to the students, parents, and colleges impacted by my actions. I'm sorry to my daughters and my husband. I have betrayed them all. My mind keeps returning to the 30-minute drive to the testing center. I kept thinking, turn around. So, is that enough? Do you think that's the right punishment for trying to buy your kid into college? 14 days in prison, $30,000 fine. Oh, and I bet the people flying from Germany to Mexico will change their coffee. Coffee spill in the cockpit diverted the entire flight. They said, yeah, probably should have put a top on it. Thanks for having me with you. My name's Greg Knapp. In for Chad Benson. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.